Everybody, this is the convening of the Cottonwood Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood for presentation of proclamations, awards, and introduction of new city employees to be held on September 6th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. So we do have a presentation this evening. We've got Jennifer Perry with us here this evening, and the time is yours. So come on up to the podium and you can introduce yourself. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I do have a PowerPoint. Am I able to bring it up on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Look at that. Technology's working with us today. Okay, and I'm assuming the clicker. Yeah, look at that. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Mayor Alinsky and council members, for having me here today. My name is Jennifer Perry. I'm the Regional Director for the Arizona Community Foundation, and I'm sure many of you have heard of the Community Foundation before, but oftentimes I find that we don't really fully understand the depth of services that we offer. In fact, I learn new things every day about what the Community Foundation can do. So today, I'd like to take an opportunity to give you an overview of who the Community Foundation is, what is it that we're in the business to do. Then I'd like to share with you what we do here locally, what our office is here to do to serve our communities. And then I thought it would be helpful if I could provide some examples of ways that different businesses and individuals and organizations work with the Community Foundation. And then lastly, I'm going to touch really briefly on just a couple of our regional initiatives just to drop the seed, and if you're interested in learning more about that, we can tackle that at another time.
Great.
So, what is the mission of the Community Foundation? We all kind of roll our eyes when we hear a mission statement. I've worked for lots and lots of nonprofits over the years, but this mission gets me up and out of bed and ready to go every single day. And our mission is to lead, serve, and collaborate to mobilize enduring philanthropy for a better Arizona. And I can tell you quite candidly, I drive home every day from work and I go, gosh darn it, we did it today. We did some really great stuff. So I'm really proud of our mission and all that we're doing to support our community. So let's look at ACF as a whole, just a kind of Community Foundation 101. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We've been in business for about 44 years. We've received a 4-star rating from Charity Navigator, which is the highest rating that Charity Navigator gives. And this really demonstrates the transparency and the best practices with which we manage the assets entrusted to us. We have approximately $1.5 billion in charitable assets under management, and we've been consistently ranked among the top 25 community foundations across the country. And it's hard to believe, but there's actually over 825 community foundations across the United States, so we're really proud of that. And then lastly, we do have our central office in Phoenix, and then regional offices around the state. And this is really important so that when we're working to mobilize philanthropy, we are closely attuned to the unique needs of our region, which we know there are many. In 2021, we granted a record $196 million out into the community. So this is really powerful stuff, and we're really proud of the work that we do. So what do we do at the Community Foundation? What is our business? So basically, people do not give to the Community Foundation, they give through us. We're simply a convener. So we work with individuals who want to give back. They make a gift to the Community Foundation. We determine what they want to achieve with that gift. We invest those dollars in a variety of types of funds, and then we distribute that money back out into the community in the form of grants. So basically, the Community Foundation is built on the power of endowments. Not all of our funds need to be endowed, but it truly is the premise of the strength that we're able to offer. And one great example is the Greater Sedona Community Fund. This is the community chest that we manage here locally to support all of our region, all of the Verde Valley and Sedona. The only restriction is it has to serve residents of Sedona and the Verde Valley. This fund started in 1991 with a $1,000 gift from one individual. Over the years, that fund has continued to grow. People have continued to give to it. We now have $2.3 million in that fund, and we've granted 2.1. So that's really fun endowment math. You know, it's growing, we're feeding that tree, it's producing fruit every year to support our community. So how do we do this? We have what I like to call our Philanthropic Toolkit. And these are the different types of funds that we manage at the Community Foundation. I'm not going to go through them all and get us into the weeds, but the premise of this is, at the top, we have community funds and fields of interest funds. These are kind of our general buckets, where people say, I want to give to the Verde Valley and I only want to give to animals. We grant the money out every year in a competitive grant cycle out of these funds. As we go down the diagram, it gets more restrictive. So we have donor-advised funds. These are people's personal charitable checking accounts. We act as like a philanthropic concierge with these individuals to help them give back in their community. We have collaborative funds where we can bring money from lots of different people. This is a popular vehicle to facilitate giving circles. And then we have scholarships, support orgs, which are an alternative to a private foundation. And then we have funds that are real specific, that are designated to one or two charities. And we also help nonprofits manage their own endowments as well. So it's a pretty robust philanthropic toolkit. So how do we manage all this money that people entrust to us? Fortunately, I'm not in that department. I'm in the relationship part of the business, but we have a great team of professionals down in Phoenix. And our objective on our investments is to make sure that we preserve and grow the endowment while still allowing enough growth so that we can grant dollars out and operate on a 1% administrative fee. We have a recommended spend rate of 4.25%. And that's based on the average fund balance for the last 12 quarters. And what's important about that is that when we have economic downturns or tumultuous times like we're seeing right now, that calculation ensures that we have enough money to be able to grant in good times and in bad times. So who can receive the funding from a fund at the Community Foundation? One thing that's really important to note is that every dollar given to us is donor driven. So if they say they want it to stay for the regional community, it stays for the regional community. If they want it to go to animals, it goes to animals. So we do what the donor wants. But once the money is with us, we can grant to 501c3 nonprofit organizations. We can grant to government agencies, so we grant to the police department, parks and rec, fire departments, schools. We grant to tribal entities, and we can grant to religious organizations, provided the project is for public good. It's also important to note that we can grant to anywhere in the United States or internationally. Sometimes it's deceiving because our name is the Arizona Community Foundation. People feel that their dollars are restricted to our state. And again, it all starts with the donor. What do they want to do and how do we help them achieve that? We do run about 42 competitive grant cycles a year out of our central office in Phoenix. And then we do work with individual donors to help them determine where they want to give their money. So what do we have here locally? As I mentioned, I'm the regional director for our office here. Our office is in Sedona. I live in Cornville. I've lived here for 20 years. And our job is to be out in the community helping to identify where those needs are and connecting the donors with those needs. This office was established in 1991. We have approximately $15 million in assets under management that are designated to this region. That's made up of 71 different funds. And over the course of this office, we've granted $11 million out into our community. And we're averaging about $1 million a year going out. And that's myself and my wonderful assistant, Brenda Moons, who's our philanthropic coordinator. She couldn't be with us today. We also have a local board of advisors. We're really proud of the broad, diverse group of people that are really actively involved in lots of organizations here in the community. Carol Karimsky is our current board chair. She heads up the Salvation Army of Sedona. She's very active with St. Vincent de Paul and the local food bank. So one of my favorite things that we do all year is we run our competitive grant cycle. So as I was saying earlier, we have those community funds and fields of interest funds that are entrusted to us. And so we put it out to the community to apply for funding from us. And these are the 15 different funds that we grant our competitive grants to. And it's important to note that anybody can give to these funds. So when you're looking at where to give back in the community, my husband and I love to give to the Greater Sedona Community Fund because honestly, we don't have a lot of money to give. But we know that a portion of our gift will go out that year in a grant. It'll get pooled with other people's donations, invested, and it'll be the gift that keeps giving in perpetuity. So it's pretty cool. So we always get more requests than we ever have enough money for, as I'm sure you are very aware. So what we do is we create what's called a worthy project list. And when I worked on the nonprofit side before I came to the foundation side, I kind of thought this was a bunch of malarkey. I'm like, really? You put my projects out in a list and people just send in checks? Well, they do. It's really fantastic. So in your packet, you will see a copy of the Worthy Project List. And basically, our grant review panel looks at all these applications and said, if we had all the money in the world, would we fund these projects? So it's a free resource to the community. Anybody can use it. And it's a great way. It's like all these projects have the good housekeeping stamp of approval, and you can give where you live with confidence. So how do people work with us? It's an awful lot of things that we do, and I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. But basically, people will come to us, and they want to give back, but they're not really sure. Where should I give? What's a good organization? What organizations are doing work in my philanthropic interest? So they come to the Community Foundation, and we sit down and talk with them. They give a gift to the Community Foundation. It can be cash, it can be a complex asset, it can be a privately held stock. Because we're so big, we're able to handle all kinds of complex assets. We then work with those individuals to invest that money and determine where they want to give back to make the most impact. So how can people give? People can give during their lifetime. And people can give once they pass. And it's really kind of fun because I work really closely with all sorts of people, and I have some people that are holding their money as tight as they can, and no one's getting a dime until after they're in the ground. And I have other people who want every cent spent before they pass so that they can see the joy in people's eyes of the impact they're making. But either way, you can give today, or you can give as a planned gift or a bequest. So now let's just get into a couple of examples of how people work with us. So we're going to start with how individuals work with the Community Foundation. So basically, you can give to an existing fund. So like I do, I give to the Community Fund. Some people give to the Environment Fund. Some people give to a scholarship. But if on talking with us, you realize, wow, they don't do what I really want to do, you can establish your own fund. And then you can also establish a scholarship. You can establish a scholarship for your alma mater, whether it's in Ohio, or you can establish scholarships just for this region. It's really broad. And then we also will work with individuals, like as that philanthropic concierge I was telling you about, researching projects and ways that they can make an impact. And then help with that gift planning when you pass. So Bill and Susan Kamek are a wonderful example of how people have worked with us. They came to us years ago and set up a donor-advised fund, and they've been giving to the local food bank, to the animal shelter, to their colleges back east for many, many years just through their donor-advised fund. They were also instrumental in establishing the Pathway to Career Scholarship Fund. This scholarship is designated for the Verde Valley for students of all ages who are pursuing career and technical education. And we're working to build that to be $1 million endowment that will be able to grant $42,000 a year to students of all ages in perpetuity. And then lastly, they established a mega planned gift. They are giving their entire estate to ACF to make sure that their giving continues once they pass. So I mentioned earlier that groups work with us. These are our collaborative funds, and this is a way for us to pool donations, and it's really rewarding to be able to work with other individuals and really make a big impact. And Forest Highlands Foundation is a great example of a collaborative fund. All of their members give to their particular fund, and then they utilize the Worthy Project list to make recommendations for funding out into the community. So towns and governments work with the Community Foundation as well. As I mentioned earlier, you are eligible for grants, and you are eligible by department, so it does not have to be one request from the City of Cottonwood. It can come from all different departments. We also work with a lot of towns and counties to manage their grant cycle for them, because this is what we do. A lot of people will outsource the grant application process to the Community Foundation. We also are leading the way nationally with philanthropic loan funds, in which instead of just granting money and calling it a day, we're utilizing philanthropic dollars to leverage some of the larger money coming out of the government, particularly the USDA community impact loans. And the town of Jerome recently received a philanthropic loan from ACF for their sewage treatment plant to access the USDA funding. We also help with disaster and emergency relief funding. We've been working with the City of Flagstaff to help them distribute funds to residents impacted by the floods. And then all of these cities and counties listed on the right partner with ACF to manage their grant cycles. So we also work with businesses. So a lot of companies want to give back. It's good business to give back to your community, and they can rely on the support of the Community Foundation to facilitate that. So we offer corporate donor advised funds, and this is a picture of the CEO of Enchantment Resort. They have the Boynton Canyon Preservation Fund with ACF and do quite a bit of granting. And we also work with Cox Charities, APS, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We have a big one for the Super Bowl right now, which is kind of fun. And then lastly, we work really closely with nonprofits. We don't want to just grant money to the nonprofits. We want to help our local nonprofits be sustainable and have their own endowment and nest egg. So we have 27 nonprofit endowment funds here in the Verde Valley alone, and we're really, really proud of that. And unlike a traditional investment management firm, we work with these nonprofits to help them build their endowment, how to talk to donors about planned gifts and major gifts, whereas your investment advisor is just going to manage the money, not help you get more in the coffer. And then the flexibility of planned gifts. One thing I want to share with you is when people make a planned gift with the Community Foundation, the real nice part about it is that they can change it at any time. That's one of the most difficult decisions for people to make as to how to pick the charity that's going to be the beneficiary of your lifelong work. So we work with individuals, they name ACF in their estate plan, and then we use all those different types of funds to craft a personalized gift plan. And this is Barbara Brune here from Cottonwood, and she is just one of the most delightful women, and we just recently worked together, and she established a very, very large planned gift which will benefit 10 of her favorite charities across the country in perpetuity. So what has been impacted here in Cottonwood? So we've done a number of projects over the last few years. I've been with ACF for 3 years, and all of these things have happened while I've been there. We helped fund all of the displays at the Science Vortex for that wonderful new STEM museum that I hope you girls have gone to. I'm sure it's lots of fun. And then we offered some training to the Cottonwood Fire Department. We've provided funding for software and curriculum enhancements at Cottonwood Oak Creek School District. We provided the refrigerated trucks for Manzanita Outreach. We regularly fund the Shop with a Cop with law enforcement heroes. We've provided fire prevention programming at the Arizona Burn Foundation, showers for the Old Town Mission, and we're currently working to get more books for the libraries. So that is pretty much ACF as a whole. We are working on some local initiatives that I'd be happy to share with you more about later, but we do have that Pathway to Career Scholarship Fund. We now have a housing fund, a Roof for All housing fund to support local housing projects, those philanthropic loan funds. We facilitate giving circles, and we offer the Arizona Endowment Building Institute. So I thank you so much for letting me join you today. I hope you learned a little bit more about what we do and can leave here looking for opportunities of where philanthropy can make our community better.
Well, thank you, Ms. Perry. Really, really informative. You do a lot more than I thought you did. A whole lot more. All right. Just 10 more minutes left on this pre-meeting. We've got 3 employees to introduce. So let's go ahead and call up Mr. Whitmer, Tom Whitmer. Good evening, Mr. Whitmer. No problem. You're up next, sir, to introduce your a name that's very familiar to us all.
What's her name? I don't know. Mr. Mayor, members of council, it gives me great pleasure tonight to introduce somebody that, as you just alluded to, is well known to probably most of you. I think all of you have heard of Miss Debbie Breitkreutz. She has just recently been offered the position of Assistant Director of Utilities, and she gladly accepted. She may regret that a few weeks later, but right now she's all on board with it. Some things that you may not know about Debbie. Debbie started her career here a little over 18 years ago. And her first job with the city was as a wastewater treatment operator trainee. Not typically a job that people gravitate to, but unbelievably, she took to it like smell on a dog and really jumped in with both feet and took every opportunity she could to learn as much about it as she possibly could. She was the first person here to actually get her wastewater treatment grade 4 license, which is quite a feat in and of itself because of the things that you have to go through it and the time and experience you have to put in order to get that accomplishment. It's the highest grade that you can get currently with wastewater. So that's a very big accomplishment. For many of our youth here in town, they all know Debbie because she's given tours over the years to virtually all the grades at the wastewater treatment plant. In fact, she's been so good at it, she's been dubbed the Queen of Poo by most people here. And yes, she does have a tiara. I won't say what's on the tiara, but she has a tiara. Nevertheless, with that, I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Debbie Reichert.
Thank you. So I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the city and to thank Tom for allowing me this opportunity. I think I've been here 18 years. I don't plan on going anywhere. And I want to continue to do a really good job and for you guys and for the citizens. So that's
Awesome.
pretty much it.
Thank you. You're a great asset to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Glad you accepted. All right, let's bring up Mr. Bramble then. You're going to introduce our next 2 employees. Evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm James Bramble, Senior Engineer, and I have 2 new employees to introduce. The first is Jolton Larrimore. Jolton is the new stormwater specialist with the engineering department. He was raised in Cottonwood and is a recent graduate of Northern Arizona University with a master's degree in informatics and a bachelor's degree in biology. Outside of his work, he's got a variety of interests such as hiking, golfing, fishing, and photography. And you may recognize his last name.
Welcome.
Hello, I'd like to thank James and the city for this opportunity to work as the new stormwater specialist. Looking forward to the many years ahead. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Welcome.
Secondly, we have Jeff Jones. He's our new Public Works Inspector with the Engineering Department. He is a 5th-generation Arizonan that grew up in the Mesa, Phoenix area. His wife is from Cottonwood, and they moved back here in 1995 after being in Payson working in the grocery business. He has 19 years with the Clarkdale Cement Plant, mostly as a quality control technician. and he has spent the last 8 years as a lab and field technician for a local testing firm, where he's worked on numerous projects across central, eastern Arizona, and the Navajo Nation. Outside of his work, Jeff enjoys hiking, primitive camping, backpacking, and road trips.
Great. Welcome aboard.
Like he says, my wife grew up here, and 3 of my 4 sons grew up here, and I've lived here 27 years now, so it's home to me. I've never called a place home, and it makes me really happy to be able to work and at my home and to make my home better. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, listen, everyone who just got introduced, why don't you come up? We're going to do a group photo. If you have any family with you, you're more than welcome to invite them up as well. Okay, that concludes our pre-meeting, so we're going to meet for our regular meeting in just 5 minutes, so stick around.